everyone, and welcome to Marks for Life podcast, making its return with your hosts, Jimmy and CJ. We rebranded to become all elite in all pop culture, from AEW to Marvel to video games to Netflix and so much more. You name it, we talk about it. Come join us, and welcome to the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition. I'm CJ, one of your hosts for the future of the podcast, to be quite honest.
And I'm your other one, Jimmy, and we are back. Yeah, we're kind of back.
Pretty much, yeah. I think now we're, now that the pandemic's over and we've really been able to think about how we want to improve the podcast moving forward, we are going to improve and talk about wrestling like we always do. But
yeah, well, some other stuff, but like this one is specific to wrestling because this is the best. This is probably one of the best wrestling things that we will ever be talking about on the show. And I think we talked about all the great moments that happened from when we started back in 2017 to now.
yes.
And this is hands down the best one.
This was amazing. This was excellent. And specifically, we are talking about AEW Grand Slam. It took place in Arthur Ashe Tennis Stadium, 20,000 seat arena with 20,000 people. And an excellent show. We were able to watch both Dynamite and Rampage, which we are going to be splitting up into two separate episodes for you guys.
And we also got to see some dark matches as well.
Yes, we got to see some dark elevation.
We won't dive too much into Dark Elevation, but we'll definitely talk Dynamite and
subsequently Rampage.
Yeah, and just our experience, I think, going to the stadium and kind of readjusting into this post-pandemic, still somewhat of a pandemic universe that we're living in right now.
Pretty much, yeah. To give some background, Arthur Ashe Stadium had to comply with New York state laws. So if you were to attend this event, you had to at least have had proof of at least one dosage of the COVID-19 vaccine in order to enter the event, which was actually a big part of our entrance into there. We had to show our card at least, a couple of times?
Yeah, a couple of times. And I don't know about you, but I also have it on my phone.
I do too, yeah.
Yeah, it just makes everything just so much easier. Like if you have it and if your state or municipality has some sort of electronic way of holding onto your device on whether you have like an iPhone or an Android phone and you can keep it in your wallet, like do that. It's super easy. Don't like hold off to the last minute. If you want to try to go to a show of any kind, regardless if it's wrestling or not, like just have the paperwork ready, handy.
If it's required by your state, that's the thing.
I think most would anyway, but like even if they don't, like, and if you already have it, just make it easier for yourself. Like, don't be a person that's just going to be like a jerk about it and just not do that. I guess, like, I don't know. We
don't want to see anybody get in trouble.
No one gets in trouble. And like, everyone's supposed to be safer. We don't want people like getting sick and then getting other people sick that could lead to some worse consequences down the road.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day. But like, continuing on your whole, how we got there. Oh God. So when we got there, we had to go on this really long boardwalk thing from the train station parking lot from where we parked our car.
Yes.
To the plaza right outside of Arthur Ashe. And they did the stupidest thing and made us twirl around.
Yes. For crowd control, which understandable. But half the people were just walking through the line.
Yeah, and then at some point we just cut the line, and it wasn't even a line. It was a line to get to the line, and it was just...
Yes, and then by the time we turned around, that whole line that we waited in for about 20 minutes was gone.
Yeah.
So, never doing that again.
Yeah, then we get to getting closer to right outside Arthur Ashe, which is where they, show us your vaccine card. Everyone complied. There wasn't any big incidences like that. A lot of people wore masks too, which was nice. We did.
Yes.
And then we get to Arthur Ashe. And I've actually never been to the Arthur Ashe Stadium before, so it's very beautiful.
It was a very nice stadium. I definitely enjoyed it. I think it would have been a lot of fun if it was an open venue. It does have the possibility of doing so, but lucky enough, it wasn't, and we didn't get rained on.
Oh, one complaint though about how they set up the Arthur Ashe. I understand that like in how we used to do going to wrestling shows where they would have the merch and concessions all together.
Yes.
But even though it's still kind of a pandemic and they had the space to do it, around Arthur Ashe are there like these other pavilions where you could have done small merch shops and had like the protection and had it more open air. And like every person that I was talking to on the merch line, because I was the lucky bastard that had to wait.
You're the one that wanted it in the end. I would have been. I told you this. And let me go on record and say that Jimmy really wanted a shirt, which was fine. But like we saw the line and we're like, listen, Jim. Like I said, like I understand if we want to bail out of the shirts because the line is long. But Jimmy is a very persistent person and wanted his shirt now. He did not
I wanted my, I wanted my CM Punk one. I never got one back when I was a kid when he was wrestling in WWE.
There's something called Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yeah, but like it's different when you buy it from like a stand. Like we all know this. The different feeling of like being in a live show and then buying merch there.
Yeah,
it's a different feeling. Plus, like I got a chance to talk to people, and we were all not complaining, but we were all talking about man, what if they run out of CM Punk shirts? What if they run out of CM Punk shirts? And then we all point out, oh look, they got the cape, they got the flag, and we're like, yeah, I'll just start wearing that. I'll be Captain Punk. And I was dying laughing. That guy was hilarious. I don't know if he ever listens to it, but God, I hope you do. I should have gotten his name so I could have shouted him out. He was awesome. But like, I got everyone's shirt. You're wearing a shirt. I got you.
Hey, listen, and it
looks nice.
Look, I'll wear it. I'm just saying, like, if I had it, great. If I didn't have it, I understood. But I can agree that I think because a lot of events now, because we've been to a couple events during the pandemic. My fiance and I, we went to this.
Oh yeah, that's right. He got engaged.
Yes.
Something that we didn't mention. So we're two engaged people. I had to postpone mine because of the obvious pandemic,
and we're waiting for a couple years until it gets super cheap because COVID prices are insane.
Yeah, they are.
But we went to this one marching band show in Pennsylvania, in Philly, and they had outdoor merchandising. Granted, it was also at a school, so you really couldn't have an indoor one. But I think it's definitely possible. The only reason why I think it would be nerve-wracking to have the merchandise sale outside of the stadium is crowd control.
Yeah, like
that's going to probably be the biggest thing is crowd control.
I think if there was more logistics into taking care of crowd control, I feel like what they should have done was that they had the booths open like a couple hours early before the event starts, then before everyone goes inside the Arthur Ashe to get a seat and get drinks and stuff like that. It would have made, I think, the crowd control inside, because it was also ridiculous inside, because you waited online for food for us.
I waited about a half hour, and the line was very short. But, that one stand was taking care of two separate lines. And, they were just doing it as they could. They still have to cook the hot dogs and such. And the hot dogs weren't bad.
Yeah, for like a plain ass hot dog, which I never eat. I always eat it with like a mustard or something.
Oh, I had no idea, bro. I was just like, I was in a rush.
Don't worry. No, don't worry about it. Like,
yeah.
But for a plain ass hot dog, it wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't. It was a good foot long.
And then the water. We needed the water.
Oh my god. My head was pounding. And now, whenever I go to a wrestling event, I will be bringing Advil. I got my haircut today, and my buddy Tyler, he's my barber. He gave me Advil because I was like, yo, man, my head's still pounding. He's like, you want Tylenol? I'm like, yes. And I just popped a couple at the barbershop, drank some water, and I've been feeling great ever since.
Atta boy.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we still have our voices, considering that by the time we're recording this, it's a day after the show. And by the time this podcast goes out, it'll probably be like...
I've been drinking a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
But it was an excellent show. I wouldn't have changed a thing about it. And we were around so many good,
there was a lot of fun wrestling fans to talk to. So like the guy on the merch line for me, I think when we were sitting down, I think there was like a group behind us, and there was the one dude who kept shouting and making funny comments every now and again.
Where he was yelling at the front row because he was just jealous of the front row.
Oh yeah, and to be fair, when you're in the high up seats, of course you're jealous of the floor. But like you can also make whatever chants you want, which is the best part about being in the high up seats.
This is also our second time in seats like that. The first time I would say would have been Barclays Center.
Oh god.
Raw 2018, I believe.
Yeah, it was Raw 25. is the 21st anniversary show.
Yes. So Raw 25.
Awful show.
Awful show. So
Awful show, awful seats, awful stadium.
yeah, the stadium we went to, granted, they were high up, but it never felt like a bad seat.
No, so I think the current seats that we sat in were very good. The seats, though, that we were in the wrong section for were slightly better. And
They were slightly better.
They were slightly better.
But you know what? We got to see the matches, which is the most important thing. We got to see our favorite. Like, the card was excellent, and I think it's time to really jump into this card.
All right, just one more like quick comment, just because like I need to get this off my chest because this has been bothering me for the entire time. So we're in the nosebleed seats, not TV side. We were TV side, actually. Oh, we were? Oh,
Yeah.
that wouldn't matter because we were in the high up seats that don't show anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Don't bring a fucking sign. It ruined. So in front of us was a kid and like some adult with them, either a guardian or a parent or whatever.
This
And
kid
he brought signs. So I respect the.
He brought multiple signs front and back. There were like 8 signs in total.
Yeah, there was like one for Alan, one for Punk, one for Britt, one for MJF, one for
Malachi.
One for Malachi, and I think one for either his YouTube or TikTok.
Yes. It was his like YouTube or TikTok.
Or it was like Row Wrestling memes or something like that.
Something like that. He was really pushing it. He was hustling.
And I respect that, but at the same time, I missed all the good entrances where I had to either look on the screen, which is like on a delay for some god awful reason, or I had to look through it on CJ's phone because he was recording it. So I'm like, really?
We could have swapped.
It's all right. Like, I was fine. I like, so long as we saw the matches, which is where we're going to get to at this point.
Yes.
Oh my God, they were so good.
So we're going to be splitting this podcast up into 2 separate ones. We will be releasing AEW Rampage the next week, just to give you guys something to look forward to. And plus, each one was a 2-hour show.
Oh, yeah. That's like a pseudo kind of complaint about it, because normally Rampage is like, what, an hour?
It is an hour. I will say I liked it, if only because it really felt like a pay-per-view, and it felt like a special event.
Yeah, and I think just being like the first AEW show in New York, like it needed to be that. And if it wasn't going to be a pay-per-view. So like I do like that aspect of it. Yeah. However,
they gave us respect.
When we get to Rampage, I think we'll go into more of the nitty-gritty complaints about it. But let's start with Dynamite, because there's so much good stuff to talk about for Dynamite.
So,
oh my God.
The show opened up with first off, I miss Justin Roberts announcing, and Justin Roberts really just getting the crowd hyped. And also, there's a little thing. There was a sign in the crowd that was by MJF's parents, which was actually all over social media. And it said, "We are MJF's parents, and even we think he sucks." Which MJF responded on Twitter by saying, "Fuck you, Mom."
He said, "Fuck off." He quote tweeted his own mother saying, "Fuck off." It's great.
Yeah.
Only Long Islanders can do that. Only Long Islanders, bro.
Yes. So So Justin Roberts did the countdown for AEW Dynamite, which was very exciting. AEW Dynamite opens up, and we were trying to figure out what match would open the card. We were thinking, women's title match or the FTR tag match with Sting and Darby. They open up the show with American Dragon Brian Danielson taking on the AEW World Champion Kenny Omega in an exhibition match, which...
Oh boy, the best wrestling match I've seen in a long time.
That's probably the best wrestling match I've ever watched. Like, I fully enjoyed it. I was fully invested.
It felt like watching old school Ring of Honor post Kevin Steen leaving. That's what it felt like. So like in that era, that's when Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish were still on Ring of Honor, and that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
It felt like watching the Ring of Honor like wrestlers face off against Bullet Club. Like, that's how hype it was. But it was on a million times grander scale because it's with, the AEW World Champion, who is arguably the greatest wrestler in the world currently right now, against Brian Danielson,
probably
who is
one of the greatest wrestlers in history, and just coming off an excellent WWE run post retirement, post injury. WWE champion, and then also a main event spot with Roman Reigns and Edge at WrestleMania this past year. Like, he came off an excellent run, and like he came in with all the hype, and the match delivered.
Yeah, it didn't disappoint. I was enthralled the entire time. It was great.
What was your favorite part about that match?
Oh God. I would say
You can also list a top 3.
Yes.
Let's make it a top 3 because
So I think the back and forth they generally have, like when it gets to the point where like, oh, like they're really slapping the shit out of each other because
Yes.
like you plainly see it on Daniel Bryan's chest. Like Kenny is like beating the shit out of him.
Yes.
Because he doesn't want to deal with the American Dragon.
No, he does not.
And then I think almost any time like Bryan gets him in like a hold, because it's always a crazy hold. Like he almost put him in like a full lapel lock, or like or whatever. I forget. I don't know if that's what it was called in the indies for him back when he
in the middle of the match. So the middle of the match was called the cattle mutilation. Which is a bridging double chicken wing.
No. Well, that one too, but no, like the actual like where he did almost like a crossface.
He did the lapel lock.
He did like
he did a version of the brutalizer by Pac.
Yeah, and that one was, oh my god, so good.
Yes.
And honestly, I think the ending was better than expected because I thought at first it was an actual title match, and that would have been crazy.
Yes,
but obviously they're not going to let that one go away too soon because Kenny Omega being the champion for AEW right now until there's like a adequate contender is pretty smart.
And by adequate contender, we mean Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah, of course. Hopefully he comes back soon because I do miss him.
Yes,
desperately. But man, like for like a return to wrestling for like a live show, it was absolutely needed. And I think the people in the back fucking knew. Like Tony Khan fucking knew. Like, okay, we're gonna give them what they want first round, and then like let them be excited for everything else.
It's like when CM Punk's debuted on Rampage, he gave it to them right away. So this way they could also not be like sitting on the edge of their seats. He knew what they wanted. So he gave it to them quick. So this way, it also wouldn't have affected any of the other matches on the card.
Yeah, plus, like other matches were also adequately good, so like it made you stay and not like change the channel right away.
Exactly.
So that's also good.
Imagine Ruby Soho and Britt Baker being the first match, and everyone just wanting Daniel Bryan and
I feel like there would have been some Brian Danielson chants. My apologies.
Exactly.
During that match, if that had happened.
Yeah.
And I think that they played it well, and I think it's a smarter move because. It kind of gives me vibes of, I don't know if you remember this, but like back like several years ago when they did, I think it was Cena, Styles, and oh god, it was like someone else did the triple threat for the title. I think it was Dean Ambrose.
Yeah,
I think it was
Cena, Styles, and Ambrose. Yes.
Yeah, and they did that the first match, and we were all kind of like surprised. Is because I think they were competing with I think one of the debates at the time. One of the debates at the time in 2016, I think.
Yes.
But like watching that match first was like, okay, like that was very good. Like now I'm excited to watch the rest of it. And then the rest of the night was like, but
a lot of
same energy, same like style, and like they should really consider doing that for WWE if they want to retain some viewership. Just saying.
The whole arena erupted because no one is expecting to hear Flight of the Valkyries beginning the show. And that was crazy. I will say I popped really hard for the cattle mutilation. Jimmy can attest to that.
Yeah, he did.
I went crazy. I was like, "Oh my god, they're actually pulling this move." That's how I knew that it was a different Daniel. It was not Daniel Bryan anymore. It was Brian Danielson. I saw that.
Yeah, like seeing Brian Danielson come back after I think the last time we saw him was in 2019, 2010.
The last time I've never watched Daniel Bryan wrestle.
Well, I watched it when he debuted in the old NXT. Like when they first did it, made it more like a reality show, which was dumb, but like that's the first time I saw it. But I never saw Brian Danielson wrestle.
I've never seen Brian Danielson wrestle. The only appearance I've ever seen Brian Danielson was Daniel Bryan at Raw 25. That was the only time I've ever seen it. So watching this was amazing.
It was a treat. It was like watching a highlight reel of like the best Brian Danielson matches of Ring of Honor, and it was so good.
It's also his stuff with WWE too. You know, you got to see every time he was in the corner and did the chop, kick. You always heard woo and yes, which I think moving forward, if someone's going to be doing a kick in the corner, just a straight roundhouse, it's going to be met with yes or no, depending on if you like them or not. But I think he's become synonymous with that, similar to Ric Flair and the chops.
Yeah, and Austin with what and everything like that too. Like that has a dynamic to it as well. Also, one thing that I actually really enjoyed, and this isn't like specific to like the actual combatants in the match, But it was like the beginning of the match where you got the admiration and like Brian like looked around and he had like that same look he had in his face when he main evented WrestleMania.
Yes.
Like it was like kind of a look that made you like almost cry a little bit because it was like, wow.
It was also nice because even before they locked up, they got a "This is awesome" chant, AEW chant. The crowd was on fire throughout this whole event.
It was so much on fire that they tried to reignite his old chant, and nobody was off key.
We were trying really hard to get "You're gonna get your fucking head kicked in," and there was some of it. I heard it a lot to the left of us. And oh my god,
yeah, we just weren't synced. We were all synced up when it came to doing Bebe, but like I guess not everyone is used to that whole chant because
listen, it's gonna be brought back. Give it some time, and then we're gonna bring that shit back.
Like, so next time we go to an AEW, which I believe is gonna be in December,
December 7th.
Yeah, which we will talk about on this podcast. We will nail it.
Yes, we will.
We can't let New York down for this one specific chant.
Oh yeah,
and like have fucking Chicago or like Jacksonville, like get that. Like we're not doing that. No.
Look, we will compete for AEW's affection. Which also got to mention, Tony Khan would pop out in between the shows and really like he would thank us, he would compliment us, he would hype up the show, which is really interesting to see a promoter do that.
Yeah, there's a real dynamic because like Vince never does that because he hates the fans.
That's true.
He hates the fan, and like Tony Khan doesn't. Tony Khan treats them like, no, we're gonna entertain you. That's what we're here to do. Enjoy the product. And Vince is like, whatever I put out, you're gonna enjoy. Blah.
Yes.
It shows a unique difference because I've never actually seen or heard Tony Khan like speak or give like talks and whatnot, and like listening to him, it sounds like he really genuinely cares.
Oh yeah, his voice is cracking, and it sounded like he was getting emotional over it.
Yeah, like I mean, for a promotion that started a couple of years ago, and to finally do shows again post a pandemic, and then to do it in New York,
yes,
for 20,000 fans, like yeah, like I would be cracking up too. Like it's just.
Daniel Bryan. So at the very end, I just want to touch upon this before we get into more stuff. Daniel Bryan took stuff like a champ, dragon suplex on the ramp, fucking V trigger running from the entranceway. Oh my god,
there were so many V triggers to his head. I was like, oh my god, please don't end his career now.
I saw him twitching his arm a little bit, and I got so nervous because I know he's had shoulder injuries.
But he knows how to play into it, which is funny as fuck.
And it ended in a draw, and everyone wanted 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes.
Yeah, and then the rest of the elite came out and there's like kind of attacked Brian, and then you had Christian Cage and Jurassic Express come out to come and defend him, and then that was the end of the first segment, which was very good.
Great way to start off, and this is what I want to mention, the biggest wrestling show for a non-WWE event since 1999. And the reason why I say that is because they've had, as you mentioned, Jim, 20,000 people. That is the biggest crowd for non-WWE since WCW back in January 4th, 1999. It is absolutely crazy. And this is also their first stadium show, too. This is
like actual stadium, not like doing the Sears Arena or in Chicago.
Sears Arena isn't considered a stadium.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like they're not doing that. Like they're not doing arena show, like those small arena shows. They're doing like big league now.
They're getting bigger, which is nice.
And the fact that like the Long Island one is, I think, how big is the Long Island?
UBS Arena.
The new UBS Arena. How big is that?
UBS Arena seating has about
fact checking. Live fact checking.
I have no idea.
But regardless of that, like it's definitely going to be comparable enough to do 20,000.
17,113 seats for hockey games and 18,853 for concerts.
Okay, so like roughly, it'll be another like it'll probably be about the same size, roughly, maybe a little bit less.
I would think less. I think UBS will probably be around like a 10 to 12,000 seats.
All right,
at most. I don't think it'll get to 20,000. Depending on the card, though. Depends on the card. We don't really know what's going on for Long Island yet.
Yeah, we still got plenty of months and still got plenty of wrestling. Speaking of which, we got to continue more.
Next up on the card was MJF taking on Brian Pillman Jr. Everyone hated MJF, except for a couple people that are like smart marky, like, oh my God, we love MJF. He's so cool. He's better than you, and I was like, and then I responded by saying, I know he's better than me. That's why I'm booing him. Great match. People were really excited for Brian Pillman. People were more excited to boo MJF. Like the whole reason MJF was on the card was to boo him. And that the fact that that's a draw in and of itself is like, oh, we get to watch MJF wrestle, which he never does. And we get to boo him while he does it. He is a draw.
Yeah, in like his supposed hometown area.
Yeah.
So like, of course. So like, of course.
He did do something really cool in the match. And Brian Pillman, this was an excellent showcase for him. And MJF's the best way to do it. The last person that MJF had something like this, which I was very much for, was Jungle Boy. Double or Nothing 2020, where they had the showcase for Jungle Boy and MJF was the guy to do it, which, MJF is slowly going into that role of, I'm going to bring these young guys up with me so we can all main event. He did do something with Julia Hart where he actually put her in a headlock.
Oh my God.
So this way he could use her as a human shield against Brian Pillman. And I think he got smacked or something or whatever. He got back in the ring. Julia Hart, MJF gave her like the googly eyes and was like lusting her. She slapped him and went to go, and then he grabs her hand and says, "Don't you ever do that again," and then gets fucking suicided by Brian Pillman Jr. Suicide dive. And the match ended with Brian Pillman Jr. springboard clothesline into the salt of the earth armbar.
Oh, God.
And I'm just like, it was a great match between two upcoming talents. And they also started around the same time. They both broke into the business about the same time. They're about like 3-4 years in the business.
All right, that's cool.
Which is really interesting. They've always had a professional rivalry too. Something I've been reading ever since Major League Wrestling. So it was a great time. And fuck MJF. MJF. Bleh. Next match was Cody Rhodes taking on Malachi Black. Everyone,
you almost said redacted from redacted.
Yes.
So relax there, buddy.
Yeah, almost. But Malachi Black came out to a thunderous ovation. Everyone loved Malachi so much. He was like, they loved his return. They treated him with the respect and the star power that he deserved. Cody Rhodes came back. Mixed reaction. All we heard from our side was boos. All I heard was booing of Cody Rhodes. But then cheers for Brandy because we're like, oh, wow, you know what? It's nice to see Brandy back. Great back and forth match. There was a cool spot where, when Malachi does the whole sitting, he sat, Brandy Rhodes sat in front of him, and then Cody Rhodes just cheap shot at Malachi from behind, which I'm like, Cody, that's a bad guy move. Can you do more of that? Because that's interesting.
Well, of course, according to him, he would rather retire than turn heel. So, just saying.
Yo, after New York boos the heck out of you, maybe it'll change. Arn Anderson was trying to distract the ref, and he slipped and fell.
Can I ask a question? Is it worse or better than Slip and Titus? I don't think anything's gonna beat Slip and Titus, but
it wasn't as how do I put it? It wasn't as memorable as Slipping Titus or iconic, but it was definitely a mistake.
It was like definitely not.
Because then he got up on the other side, and then Malachi just threw Cody into Arn. And then, oh my God. So Black ended up hitting Rhodes. It was like 5 minutes and just hits him with the fucking, I believe it's the black end.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Or the black mass. And just smacks him straight. And then he rolls out of the ring. And I'm just like, oh my God. And this was within 5 minutes. So it was mirroring their encounter back in July.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then he got him again. Well, so they continued to wrestle. Cody Rhodes hits with a couple of hits it with a crossroads. Black kicks out. And then while Brandy was distracting the ref or something, Malachi pulls a fucking Tajiri, spits acid in Cody's face, and pins him.
Nice.
So like I don't know if the feud's gonna continue or if it's gonna end. I think Black should move on from the Nightmare family. I don't know who he would target though. That's the only thing. I don't know who another feud for Black would be. I'm thinking
Danielson, or is it too early?
Danielson's kind of entrenched with the Elite right now.
All right.
So like the Elite is versing like Jungle Boy, Christian Cage, the whole Jurassic Express, Bryan Danielson, and Hangman is still lurking as well. I could see Aleister Black going after Death Triangle, or specifically Pac.
Well, that's if his travel plans, actually progress a little further.
They had the match, him and Andrade.
Yeah, I know, but hopefully that's like only a one-time thing because he always has travel issues, and that's because of the pandemic that's still somewhat going on.
Well, they're allowing travel now between UK starting in November. So I'm suspecting it'll be a lot less of an issue.
All right, good, because we need more Pac, because,
Yes.
God, I miss Pac so much.
I would love to see Pac and Aleister and Malachi Black. I think that would be excellent. I think that would be the biggest one that he can go into after this because it looks like Pac and Andrade are done. And Andrade's probably going to move over to another face. I just don't know which one.
The question is who?
Darby? That would be good. Or oh my God, Black, Darby, and Sting.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
it.
That would be sick because, yeah, that would be kind of sick. To think about it. It would really play into like their whole thing.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next match.
Speaking of which, we forgot to mention the CM Punk promo.
Yeah, the CM Punk promo was good. He felt like alive. And I think it was a good hype thing for him because it's like getting him in the mood for like later on in the night when he goes on Rampage.
He also was it was funny because he comes out after the Omega Danielson match and he comes up like, how do you top that? Thank God I don't have to wrestle.
I like the fact that he played into that just very well.
Yes.
I respect that a lot.
He knew what he was doing. He's like, I'm here to to not screw over the next match. But he was on fire and he was angry and we sang his theme song.
A lot of people sung a lot of theme songs that night, and it was definitely worth it.
Yes, it was amazing.
Sore throats leaving the arena. Leaving the arena. What was the next match on the card?
Speaking of which, FTR taking on Sting and Daniel Bryan.
Oh yeah, that match
Darby
was
Allin.
that match was crazy good.
That was
You forget how like agile Sting still kind of is in his old age.
He's 62, man.
Yeah.
He was amazing. He was doing diving cross bodies. He was jumping off the top rope. And Darby was excellent too. Like Sting wasn't holding back the match. He was enhancing it, which is excellent.
The fact that we almost got a coffin drop into a Scorpion Deathlock tag move together would have been amazing, but that got squandered.
Yes, and FTR, excellent,
amazing.
One of the best tag teams in the world. I would love to see FTR take on the Lucha Brothers.
Oh yeah,
that has to be the next one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
FTR coming out to the old NWO gear in mocking of Sting. I do like how with FTR, they always have the thing where they're trying to save each other from tapping. So Sting had him in a Scorpion Deathlock, Dax in the Scorpion Deathlock, and Cash is grabbing the hand to make sure he doesn't tap, and he's on the apron, and then you just see Darby jump from the top rope and land on him outside on the apron with a fucking coffin drop.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I'm like, man, this kid is gonna have serious back problems when he gets older.
Yeah,
but like, oh god, it was so good.
Then. Oh my god,
so good, so worth it. It was another good match. I can't say anything bad about it. It was just all around good, and the fact that like it was also JJ Dillon walking with not JJ Dillon, Tony Blanchard. My bad. Yeah. Walking down with FTR and then Sting getting like his hands on Blanchard. It felt satisfactory. Like, yeah, this is like old school WCW stuff coming out.
This is nice. It was a great time.
It felt good. Good.
Last match on the card, AEW Women's World Championship match between Ruby Soho, the challenger, and the champion, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And I gotta say, out of the main card, Britt was probably the most cheered out of the homegrown talent.
Yeah.
I will say that her and Darby, but like I'd say Britt more. Britt was probably the most over like.
Well, yeah, especially in our crowd with the guy behind us, totally infatuated with Britt Baker.
Oh, 100%.
So I can't deny that. But like the fact that it was like a good women's wrestling match, and the fact that it was last on the card, it felt really good. Like
Britt has been in both of the main events on Dynamite that have featured women. There's been 2 so far, and she's been in both. Which,
well, I mean, just like Ruby Soho said, she is banging a dude in the back. So no, that's a
that was a bad joke. Bad joke.
That's a bad joke. Bad joke.
But like she's definitely the face of the women's division, and I have no idea who defeats her.
I would think that it would have been Ruby Soho, but I guess whenever the next woman wrestler to come into Dynamite or Rampage or any of the pay-per-views do like a battle royal, it depends on who though.
I don't know, because that was how Ruby Soho did it. So I don't think it's going to be her. It could be Thunder Rosa, but I don't want it to be. Personally, I'd like it to be either Anna Jay or Ty Conti. I think they would make excellent face champions. I think it would really do well for Dark Order to get another championship. And I think Anna Jay is that person to hold it. But yeah, like the crowd was very for it. Everyone loved Ruby. Everyone loved Britt. And there was a chance, I started a women's wrestling chant, and it went into a women's wrestling chant, which I was very excited for.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah,
I was very proud of you. There was a couple of them that you did start, and it kind of picked up a little bit.
So. Yeah, because like, I'm such a huge proponent of women's wrestling, so like I would love to see more. And like I just read a report that was published today. AEW is reportedly introducing a TBS championship for the women's roster, which I think is really cool if they're going to be doing that. And it's similar to the TNT championship, because the TNT championship does not feel like a mid-card title.
No, it's comparable to like how like the Universal and World title for WWE are kind of
yeah.
That. But they're not synonymous to one specific brand or the other. It's usually like there's not really a pay-per-view title match for the TNT one. That's always like on the TV one. Maybe like every now and again it'll be on a pay-per-view.
They'll have it has been featured on every pay-per-view. I will admit, since its inception, Double or Nothing, Rhodes and Lance Archer, Lance Archer, and then at All Out, it wasn't featured. Brody Lee was in a tag match in All Out 2020. Full Gear, Rhodes versus Darby Allin, and then actually Revolution. Yeah. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, because Revolution.
No, but it's always defended on.
It is their biggest television title.
Which I respect because I think that's actually how you're supposed to do it.
Yes.
I think that if you have 2 comparable titles and one of them is more or less defended on TV and the other one's only on pay-per-views, then it makes it special for either one. So I think they're doing it in the right way this way.
I think Miro is the only person to have defended the TNT championship on 2 consecutive pay-per-views. Actually, now that I think about it, because he defended it against Lance Archer at Double or Nothing, and then against Eddie Kingston at All Out. So he's the first one to have had 2 successful pay-per-view title defenses.
Which is how we're supposed to treat Miro.
Yes.
Like if this isn't anything but a dig at WWE at this point, I don't know what is.
Yes.
The question is who takes it off, and I don't really know.
Sammy. I think
you say that, but I don't really know.
Well,
I think. Oh, sorry. Continue.
No, I'm just saying. I will say it. Sammy would be an excellent choice.
I don't know. Like, for my thing, I feel like it would be better if it waits a little bit even longer, like at the next Double or Nothing, almost like a year to the date, similar to the Cena one. But the difference is that he won't be buried. It will be like somebody who really needs it.
Well, I will say this: that they have a lot of long-term champions in the history. And they really don't have many short reigns. The only 2 short reigns I can think of is SCU with their initial run, which was about 3 months, and FTR, which was about 2 months.
How long did Riho have the women's belt?
Riho also had it for about 4 months.
Okay.
Nyla Rose had it for about 3 months.
All right, so she had it even shorter.
Yes. So Sheeta was a year long. Young Bucks were about 11 months. Kenny Omega is coming up on a year.
Yeah, and that one he might actually go over a year. That's something I can see.
Depends on how they want to book it, but he's been champion for about 10 months. Moxley was champion for about 10 months. Jericho was about maybe 5 months. But yeah, like they're really pushing championships to be long. Miro and Dr. Britt Baker have been champions since May. So that's about a 4-month run so far, and it's been a really good run for them. I wonder who the reported TBS champion would be for the women's roster. I think it would be excellent if it was Big Swole. Definitely gets her on television.
There's definitely some other women who aren't prominent enough on Dynamite or Rampage that much.
Swole should be the one that takes the title off of Britt Baker.
Yeah.
I think that would be excellent. I think it would do wonders for the company. And I think it would do, because I think Big Swole is ready. She just had a very critically acclaimed 3 strikes match against Diamante. And I think Big Swole would be an excellent person to take the belt off of Britt. And I think, because right now she also is suffering from Crohn's disease.
Oh, I didn't know that. So that's
yes. So I know sometimes she will have to get treatment and stuff, but I think she's charismatic enough to do what Britt Baker has done, not have to wrestle every time, and just build, be promos,
be a champion and do promos and stuff. So
exactly, right. But excellent match. Britt won with the stomp and it was the stomp and the lockjaw. And after interference by Hayter and Rebel, I think I'm very excited to see where Ruby Soho goes from here.
Yeah, I think the fact that she got a title match this quickly just shows how mistreated and mishandled she was in WWE. And I knew that as soon as, because I remember watching Ruby in NXT back when she was just
Ruby Riott,
and she was
with one T.
One T. She was immaculate. She was fantastic, and I'm upset that she never got the NXT, because that would be the only one that she could have actually got, and then never got a proper women's title.
It's a shame that throughout her 4 years at WWE, she never received a title run.
Yeah,
even tag titles, and she's had multiple opportunities for the women's tag titles, the NXT Women's Championship, and the Raw Women's Championship. But then again, she fought Ronda.
Yeah, so the problem was that at the time they were really pushing Ronda, they were really pushing Charlotte,
Becky.
and Becky kind of inserted herself, but they rolled with it, and they're still rolling with it, to the point where, I mean, I'm not gonna try to switch this over to a WWE thing only for time, but to the fact that it might be the detriment to Bianca, which is a little upsetting. But
yeah, I will say though. Ruby has had a lot of respect from the backstage, both in WWE and in AEW. I listened to a podcast with her with Renee recently, and Ruby was talking about how Ronda specifically requested a match with her for the Raw Women's Championship because they would work a lot of the house shows together, and Ronda wanted that on television.
Good. So Ronda actually does have some good wrestling.
I think Ronda never had. I think she always had respect for wrestling. I think she just didn't respect the wrestling fans.
Which is fair, especially when they're, and I say this for WWE specifically, when you get relentlessly shitted on by WWE themselves, because that's what they do, and that's fine. And I get why, because we are pretty smarky assholes a good amount of the time. However, there are some points where we're actually right. Sometimes, but it depends on the company whether or not they want to take that into account of what we want. And AEW does. I mean, yes. And so far it's worked. I can't imagine a bad thing, except for, maybe a couple of individuals that I won't name on here at the moment, just because that's not what we're here to do. And we still have to do Rampage wrap up. Yes. So all in all, Dynamite was an excellent show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I cannot wait for Long Island. And all in all, this was an excellent card. And this is a great way for AEW to jump into the New York market. I can't wait to, as of recording, we don't know the ratings right now for what
AEW was able to get. Actually, hold on, let me see, because Brian Alvarez actually tweets about this. It's right about 1.28 million.
Okay, so we're both under. We figured it'd be 1.5 at the minimum for at least me.
Yes, but I think that's one of their highest shows. I think that's definitely one of their highest rated shows.
Well, yeah, getting a million people to watch on a Wednesday night, I mean, is pretty impressive, especially starting in the middle of the week, plus with Raw and SmackDown both beginning and ending of the week, and then following NXT, which is rebranded itself after its kind of defeat by AEW on Wednesday nights.
It was
it's pretty good. I'm not gonna shit on the ratings. I think that's pretty good.
That was an excellent one, especially. No, I'm very, very excited. It's been over a month of 1 million viewership, and this was I think this was their biggest show ever, in terms of seating and buying. And, we still got Rampage to talk about in next week's episode. But it, all in all, was a great, great time.
Yeah. And I guess that's really it for now. So thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate it.
We will see you next time. Thank you for joining us at Marks for Life Podcast. Please follow us on our social media on Facebook at Marks for Life Podcast, Instagram at Marks for Life Podcast, and Twitter at Marks for Life Pod. Check us out on Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Thank you for choosing to be all elite, and we will see you next time.